Welcome to Unfrazzle, a podcast for solo business owners with a big vision who are ready for a kinder, more sustainable approach to productivity. I'm Louise Miller, and each week I share bite-sized insights to help you step away from the hustle, stop faffing and stay focused so you can make your brilliant ideas happen and make a bigger impact in the world. Before we dive into today's episode, if you enjoy what I'm sharing here on Unfrazzle and you'd like to support the podcast, you can buy me a cuppa by going to buymeacoffee.com/Louise Miller and making a one-off donation. I'll pop a link to that in the show notes. Okay, grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started. Many years ago, a friend and I decided to go to a Pilates class together. We went for 3 or 4 weeks and we absolutely loved it, although I'm not sure what everyone else made of us giggling as we attempted to balance precariously on these massive inflatable exercise balls. We were pretty terrible, but it was fun. Until one week, my friend couldn't make it and so we didn't go. And we haven't been back since. The habit of going to Pilates every week didn't stick because we broke the chain. And this unfortunate outcome is typical of what happens when we do that, right? When we break the chain of a habit, when we stop, it's really hard to get going again. And I think we all know that habits are a really great defense against decision fatigue because they remove the need for us to make decisions constantly. For things that we just do habitually, we can save that precious energy for something else. But what about when things get busy? What do we do then? Right, so don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of letting go of things that aren't important if things get busy. But when we've cultivated habits that help us to navigate our full lives with more ease, I really think that those habits are worth protecting. And thankfully, there is a nifty trick that can help us to hold on to those helpful habits even when there's a lot going on. And that is to reduce the scope and stick to the schedule. So this is all about doing your best not to break the chain, but making it easier on yourself by shrinking the habit into something that's manageable for you. So for instance, if you usually try and tidy your desk at the end of every day, you could reduce the scope and stick to the schedule by simply, just taking any dirty glasses and coffee cups into the kitchen. Or put your pens back in the pen pot or the drawer where they live. Or just put any rubbish in the bin. And that way you're still sticking to the schedule of tidying your desk at the end of the day, but it's only taking you 30 seconds and you're not worrying about it being perfect. If you can't fit in your usual 30-minute yoga session, or if you can't get to the Pilates class that you'd signed up for, when the time to do that arrives, you could stop what you're doing and just do some simple stretches for a minute or two. If you'd usually go out for a walk at lunchtime, put on your shoes and take a quick lap of the garden instead. Now, on the face of it, these small actions might appear pointless, but actually far from it, right? Because by sticking to the schedule, you are sending the signal to your brain that these habits are still important and are still worthy of your attention. So you might not get the full benefit of a Zen-like desk or a 1-hour walk in the park, but you've still done something to stay on top of the mess or to shift your energy and get the blood flowing. Because when you stop completely, it is so much harder to get going again. By reducing the scope and sticking to the schedule, you can easily switch back to the full version of your good habits when things get back to normal and you're a little less busy or overwhelmed. And I find that it helps to give this some thought in advance because it can be really tricky to come up with a kind of miniaturized version of your habit in the moment when time's against you. So if you do want to give this a go, what I suggest doing is writing a list of the good habits that you don't want to break. And then think about what you might do to reduce the scope for each of those things and write that down alongside each habit. And then just keep that list somewhere handy so that if you are feeling the overwhelm, you're feeling like there's just too much to do, you can grab that and just see, right, how can I stick to this but make it really, really small? So I hope that this idea of reducing the scope and sticking to the schedule helps, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you for listening to Unfrazzle. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who needs a dose of calm productivity in their life. And I'd love it if you could leave me a rating and a review, as that will help more people discover this podcast. If you'd like to hear more from me to help you stop faffing and take back control of your time, you'll find a link to join my mailing list in the show notes, and I would really love for you to join us. So thanks so much for your support, and I look forward to seeing you next time.